Gun control consists of the laws and regulations that the government puts in place to regulate the ownership and use of guns. In the United States, gun control is handled both on the federal and state level. Most of the federal laws relating to gun control strive to protect the Second Amendment right of citizens to bear arms, while still installing regulations that keep and maintain order in the United States. For example, the Gun Control Act of 1968 is a federal law signed by President Lyndon Johnson that broadly regulates the firearms industry and firearm owners. However, gun control is not solely controlled on the federal level. The states have the power to make their own gun control laws for their own state. For example, in Washington state, retailers must record and report all retail pistol sales to the local police and State Department of Licensing. Washington state is also considered a shall-issue state, which means they will grant concealed carry permits to all applicants that meet certain criteria. While Washington state has laws and regulations related to gun control, they are among the states that most people consider to be lenient. The gun control debate has gone on for many decades and will probably continue to go on for a very long time. Many people are all over the spectrum as far as their opinions on gun control. Most pro-gun control advocates argue many points along the lines of there being no need for the average American citizen to own a gun, whereas anti-gun control supporters argue that it is their constitutional right to bear arms, and that it should be their decision whether they choose to exercise that or not. While not all people are gun fanatics, most people have an opinion relating to gun control, because whether they choose to own a gun sometime in their life, other people's ownership of guns could affect their life at some point.
Why do you need a gun in your house? Do you feel unsafe? Do you feel threatened? Thousands of people die every year because of the legalization of guns, including innocent kids, such as the Sandy Hook Elementary School. The complete legalization of guns would do more damage than good. We acknowledge that gun can provide a way of self-defense. However, unfortunately, there are more cases of public outrage shootings than there are cases of successful self-defense shootings. Having a ban on guns would make our community a safer place because less people would have access to guns, which would result in a decrease in the number of innocent Americans that are shot and killed for no reason. While we don't argue for a complete ban on guns, we propose strict gun control regulations such as concealed permit licenses, background checks, and require safety training for all gun owners. When we argue for gun control, we don't argue for the complete banning of firearms. We are mainly arguing for stricter regulations to prevent people that shouldn't own guns from owning guns.
Imagine this. You're at home asleep with your family, all safe and sound. Your two boys are in the room across from you with not a care in the world. A robber comes in with a gun and threatens your family. He has a gun pointed to your kids, demanding money. Are you able to defend yourself? Your family? Could you imagine watching your loved ones die right before your eyes? A gun can take all that worry away from you. Not an AK-47, not a minigun, but a small pistol would be enough to know that you can do something to protect your family. The pro-gun side acknowledges that a complete legalization of all guns is not what is needed, and that there should be background checks on your criminal records, along with required training before anyone is allowed to own guns. While guns allow for American citizens to protect themselves, it is also unconstitutional for the government to ban guns because it violates American citizens' Second Amendment right to bear arms. Also, the government wastes tons of money on overregulation of fighting illegal gun trafficking in the United States. Lifting the ban on guns would free up other money and resources to other government programs that require it more. Overall, the pro-gun side main argument are that it is a violation of the Second Amendment right to ban guns, and citizens should have the opportunity to protect themselves in times of defense.
Okay, so my first question is, are you pro or anti-gun control?
Pro.
And why?
Just, for all the obvious reasons, just to make it safer for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think events like the Sandy Hook Elementary shooting call for stricter gun controls?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any legitimate reason for people to own weapons like that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I'm very pro gun control.
Okay. Why?
My father had a grocery store in Chicago years ago. He had his own gun. He was well trained in hunting. He had his own handgun. And he had two drug addicts come into the store waiting for him early in the morning before it opened. And he pulled the gun. They wanted to rob him. And after he pulled the gun, he couldn't shoot fast enough. I think he felt sorry for them or something. I don't want to say. They grabbed his wrist, two of them, one of him, marched him to the back of the store, shot him in the back of the head, and murdered him. A very lovely man, intelligent, etc., licensed for his gun. That's one of the reasons. Second, I think we have a mania now in our country. I think we have the most terrible thing going on. All the civilized countries have strict gun control rules, and we do not because of a big gun lobby.
I briefly took the opportunity to ask him about his own attitude towards guns, and I asked him why he's such a defender of the right to bear arms.
Well, I'd give up my gun when everybody else does.
And is that
Doesn't that make sense?
Well,
doesn't that make sense? I mean, if you were to, if there were guns here, would you want to be the only person without one?
So do you carry guns
Not
routinely at home? I mean, you have a gun at home?
Yeah, it's legal in the United States. It's part of our Constitution. You know, the right to bear arms is because that's the last form of defense against tyranny.
So when there's the inevitable backlash of the anti-gun lobby as a result of this incident, as there always is.
Well, that's not going to change anything in the United States.
Anything.
No. The United States is based on guns. You know, like KRS says, you'll never have justice on stolen land. So it's not going to change.
Columbine.
Virginia Tech.
Tucson.
Aurora.
Fort Hood. Oak Creek.
Newtown. How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
You! Demand it!